Hey Canucks fans, let's talk a little bit more about these line combinations that we're seeing at training camp. I'm Canuck Clay. I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club. This is my Canucks take all in one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Friday, September the 24th. If you're new, this is what you should do. Hit the subscribe button now for daily Canucks insight that's positive, timely, and trustworthy. And as always, this vlog is brought to you by Perform and Transform, personal training and weight loss. If you want to sign up for a free 7-day trial, use the link in my video descriptions. I'm now down 8.5 pounds in the past 3 weeks, so I'm pretty excited about that. Gonna go to training camp tomorrow, so if you're gonna be there out in Abbotsford, make sure you say hello. I'm not going as media because I'm not media. I'm going as a regular, everyday fan, just like most of you. So if you're gonna be out there, let me know, and let's plan to meet up or at least say hello. And I'm going to talk about line combinations, so much to a frequent commenter, Tim W's chagrin, who likes to blast me when he thinks I talk about irrelevant stuff. I will say, context is key. Context is key. So just like I said, let's not read too much into the performance of players in the bag skate. I will also say, context is key. Pettersson is missing from training camp. So in one respect, we can't read too much into the line combinations from a 3-day training camp. I get that, and I made that point yesterday. However, I've also been saying for the past few weeks, and actually a lot, that Travis Green, there's a method to his madness a little bit. And he's not, with only a 3-day camp, he's not going to throw guys together just for the heck of it. So if guys are playing together, there's a reason. It might not be the end reason. It might not be the guy this guy ended up playing with when the season starts, but there's certainly reasoning behind who he puts together. So I want to look at I want to basically look at the top 9. So we're not going to talk about the bottom forwards, the depth forwards. We're not going to talk about the blue liners. I want to specifically look at the top 9 because I think that's going to be the strength of the Canucks. I think people love talking about this. I think people love hearing about it. And yes, Tim W, again, this is for conversation purposes only, but I think it's worth talking about. All summer, I've been saying I think it's going to be the Lotto line, Pettersson, Boeser, Miller, a second line of Horvat with Garland, and one of Podkolzin or Hoglander, and then the third line would be the other one of Podkolzin and Hoglander with Dickinson and Pettersson. So that's what I've been saying for the longest time, ever since the middle of July when we got Dickinson and Garland. Yes, PD is out, so this isn't the best exercise, and Nick Patan skated between not Boeser and Miller, though, and that's where it gets intriguing right away. He skated between Boeser and Hoglander. So if you think that Patan was a placeholder for PD, and that's fair to say so, like that makes sense, it's less disruption if that's the case, does that mean Travis Green is looking at a top line of Pettersson with Boeser and Hoglander? Basically, Hoglander taking Miller's spot on that top line. Okay, then you say, well, then the second line, or at least one of the lines yesterday, was Horvat, Pettersson, and McEwen. Well, that doesn't sound right. McEwen's not a top 9. So is that potentially a Horvat, Pettersson, Dickinson? Because Dickinson, because with Pettersson and Sutter out, you needed some more center. So Dickinson played as a center. He actually played between Chason and DiGiuseppe. And we know that that's not going to be a line when the season starts. At least I don't think so. Maybe Chason and DiGiuseppe are the fourth line with Sutter, which is fine, especially if Mott's going to be out. But we know that's not going to be a top 9 line. So is that going to be Horvat, Pettersson, and Dickinson? And then if that's the case, then you have your shutdown line right there. Horvat's been okay, Pettersson's pretty good, and Dickinson's an upgrade over Louis. Because remember, 2 seasons ago, it was Horvat, Pettersson, and Louis. So that would leave the line that's skating in Group B with Miller in the middle with Podkolzin and Garland. Again, Miller with Podkolzin and Garland. And that line is very intriguing to me because you have the speed and the feistiness in Garland. You have Miller, who's all over the place in a good way, as you know, and you have Podkolzin, the rookie, but who's got decent size and a great work ethic. And what was very telling to me is Travis Green, in his media availability yesterday after training camp, did talk about the fact that he wanted to see certain guys to play together. He talked about how Bo and Pierce Pettersson are good together. He talked about how he wanted to see Miller and Garland together. He didn't say Miller and Podkolzin. He didn't say Garland and Podkolzin. He said he wanted to see Miller and Garland together. And then up top, you have Besser and Hoglander. So are those kind of the three pairs of guys that he was wanting to see? And if that's the case, then you simply slot in Dickinson, Podkolzin, and of course Petey. I wouldn't say around the edges because Petey is not a around the edge player, but I think you guys know what I'm getting at. So if that's the case, if that's how they might line up, could we see a top line then of Pettersson, Besser, Hoglander, a second line of Horvat, Pettersson, and Dickinson, and a third line of Miller, Garland, and Podkolzin? That is a completely different look than I expected, but I actually have time for it when you think about it. And, you know, obviously the line with Petey and Besser, that's going to be your scoring line. So at home, when you get the last change, you can try and get that line out against some weak competition. Then the way I laid it out is Horvat's line your shutdown line, probably, because I think you want shutdown Horvat, Pettersson, Dickinson over Miller, Garland, and Podkolzin. But then Miller, Garland, Podkolzin, now you have two really good lines. So between the Petey line and then the Miller line, only the other team's shutdown line can only take one of those two lines, right? So then you'd expect that one of those two lines should rip up the competition. The other thought is, do you put Podkolzin up with Horvat and Pettersson and then put Dickinson on the third line with Miller and Garland? Then you have two centers. Potentially, you have Miller can take draws on one side, Dickinson can take draws on the other side as a right-hander, and then you're kind of spreading it out there. That's the beautiful thing about Dickinson and Miller being centers, is that you can kind of move them around a little bit. Or maybe everything we saw yesterday was truly because of Petey's absence and that they just want to experiment, and we might get a different look in the off-season. Sorry, in the preseason. But I think it's worth saying that if you kind of look at it in pairs, right? If you look at it as Besser and Hoglander together, and Petey will likely be the center. If you look at Horvat and Pettersson together, then you could put Garland, Dickinson, or Podkolzin with them. And then if you look at, actually, I guess not, because if you're going to say Miller and Garland are a pair, then you're going to put either Dickinson or Podkolzin on that. So one of them has to play with Horvat and Pettersson. One of them has to play with Miller and Garland. Now, the only other thing I'll say about this is I think Horvat was looking, I know he'll say the right things, but he was probably looking forward to not necessarily getting rid of Pettersson, but adding a really skilled winger on the right side. And he's going to get that, whether that's Garland or maybe one of Podkolzin or Dickinson. Dickinson has a lot to give offensively. Podkolzin will be a beast. So, if I had to choose, I'd put Dickinson with Miller and Garland, and I put Podkolzin with Bo and, oh no, then that becomes less of a shutdown line. No, I'll restate it. I'd put Dickinson with Horvat and Pettersson, and then I'd put Miller with Garland and Podkolzin, and then Petey with Brock and Hoglander. Then you got three really good lines. They can all score. The Horvat line would be technically the shutdown line, but with still some opportunities for offense. So, yeah. So you can tell, with 9 guys and with, I'd say, 4 guys among those 9 that can play center properly, you're going to have some options, and that's a beautiful thing. Now, even more beautiful would be if Elias Pettersson signed a contract and got to camp or got here for preseason, but we'll cover that as it happens. For now, Canucks fans, let me know in the comments below, do you have time for those line combinations? Petey, Besser, Hoglander, Horvat, Pettersson, Dickinson, Miller, Garland, Podkolzin? Or do you like kind of the original way that everyone has been talking about, including myself, for the past couple months? Leave a comment below. I'd love to read, react, and reply. Anything you want to talk about, whether it's line combinations or anything else about training camp, or maybe if you're going to be there tomorrow, put that in the comments below as well, and I'll do my best to look for you. And I'm sure I'll tweet or do a vlog out there as well. Shout out to my hero members: nucksfan number 29, Justin Credible, Lucas Gates, and Andrew Chang, and to my Hall of Fame members: Jens95, Sim Alexander, Chris Seifert, Adam Brewfield, and Shannon Hollingworth. You can tell I'm still getting used to that split. Thanks for your support, and thanks to the support of all members of all levels. If you want to join the CCC crew, I invite you to do so. Press the join button underneath this or any of my videos, or on the memberships tab on my YouTube channel. Subscribe if you'd like to, like this video if you'd like to, become a member if you'd like to, leave a comment if you'd like to, lines, impressions, will I see you in Abbotsford tomorrow. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. Have a great day. God bless, and go Canucks go.